Okay, I'm going to tell y'all a story. This is going to have to be multiple parts because this
Starting
shit's
it over,
wild.
'cause I
This
messed
is
up.
actually about me. This isn't a fucking Reddit story. All right, pretend we're having a FaceTime because this shit's good. So I worked on this job site, and while I was there, I was the office girl, and this job site was like a construction job site. So my job was to call like a dumpster company, and they would do a pull and return, like the really big dumpsters. And then I would also call other subcontractors and get estimates and yada yada. I had to give you a background so you can kind of understand the dynamics. So one day I called the company and I'm asking for a pull and return. If you don't know what a pull and return is, it's where you're calling the dumpster company, and these are the big dumpsters that you find on job sites. They're not like your little trash cans. And you call and say, hey, I need a pull and return. The man comes with his truck. He loads the big dumpster up. They take it, they drop it, they empty the trash out, and they bring it back to your job site. Well, that day in particular, she started telling me that she has a son. His name is R, and he was interested in me. He thought I was pretty and la la la, and I was like, oh wow, yay, go me. So then she tells me what job site he's working on, and he actually works for the same company that I was working on, but a different job site. So I said, well, would it be weird if I stopped and talked to him after work? She's like, heck no, girl, stop and talk to him. So I did. I pulled up to his job site. I told the supervisor on the job to go get him, bring him down. I wanted to talk to him. I know, it was a little aggressive. Oh well. So he comes down, we start talking, and I think we kind of were like, well, hey, there's this work kind of thing going on. Why don't we hang out and just kind of talk and get to know each other? Long story short, we ended up dating, like an official boyfriend-girlfriend type thing. While we were dating, I would leave and I would spend just about every evening with him and his family. He still lived with his parents, which is the mother that I would call for the pull and returns on the dumpster. And so I would go and have dinner with them, and then we'd hang out in his room, watch movies and other things. Well, I remember I'd opened a drawer and there was a picture of this girl, and I was, I'm young, I'm like 19, and I pulled this picture out and I'm like, hey, who is this? And he proceeds to tell me that was his ex-girlfriend. And I thought, well, that's strange that you still have your ex-girlfriend's picture in your house. He says, it's not like that. She died. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, well, how did she die? I was like, I'm so sorry. And he said cancer, and it was real vague. And I, of course, at 19, you don't pry. You just are like, okay, my bad. So I proceeded to tell him how sorry I was, and he proceeded to tell me about their relationship. And I was just like, holy shit, like, this is horrible. So anyways, days go by, weeks go by, all the things. So one night while we were hanging out, I was actually going to stay the night with him, and I fall asleep and I wake up and he's outside on the phone, and I'm like, who's he talking to? So I go outside and he proceeds to tell me he'll be back in a minute, just go back inside. To which I did. I was like, oh, okay. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever. So I go back inside and I'm laying in bed and I'm like waiting. And I get back up because it had been like 30 or 40 minutes, and I go outside. He's still on the phone. He's still on the phone. So I go out there and I tell him like, hey, you need to come to bed. Like, I'm your girlfriend. What are you doing? So I'm like walking to him. He's like out in the middle of the driveway. And so I start walking to him, and he starts kind of walking away from me. And it's like, whoa, red flags. But I'm 19. We don't see red flags. We see chase that boy down. So anyways, I hear him say something along the lines of like, love you. And I thought, whoa, what the fuck? Obviously, we get into a big fight. He comes back to his room. I snatched his phone to see who it was, and it was a girl's name. That should have been my cue to go home. But he was a really good liar. And I don't know. I don't know what it was. So when I asked him who that was, he proceeded to tell me it was his cousin. And I was like, well, oh, okay. And he goes, yeah. He's like, she's having some boyfriend trouble or whatever, and she was asking me this and that. And I thought, well, okay. I mean, he's never given me a reason to not believe that, right? So I was like, cool. He was talking to his cousin. He was letting her know that he loved her. Maybe that's why he was walking away from me, because I'm talking. He was trying to help her. I was trying to justify all the situations. So anyways, we end up going to bed. I dropped the subject. We don't talk about it anymore. The next day goes on. The next weeks, the next months go on. Like, everything's going good. So anyways, then I said one day, I was like, hey, we never really go anywhere. We've never been out to eat. We never watched a movie. We never went out shopping together. I was like, why don't we ever go do anything? All we do is hang out at your house. So then he says, well, you know what? One of my friends is having a party this weekend. Why don't we go? And I was like, oh my God, that would be so much fun. So I went and shopped, and I went and got me a new outfit and had my nails done and made sure everything was perfect. So after all that, I get to his house. His mom, his stepdad, and myself and his younger brother, we all ended up kind of eating and snacking at the house. He wasn't home yet because he had gotten off work later. And I said, well, I'm just going to go hang out in his room and just wait on him. I was already dressed for the party. I was super excited to go. I ended up falling asleep and I woke up and it was midnight. He wasn't there. I wake up and he's not there. It's midnight and I'm freaking out because there was a lot of construction on the road and I was really terrified that something bad had happened. So I pick up the phone and I call and call. It's just going straight to voicemail, which really was what was freaking me out more than anything, is because he was not one to not answer me. So I get up again. I'm still at his parents' house. He's not home. He left work. I thought was like an hour away. I was there at like 5:30, 6 o'clock because the party was supposed to start at 7:30. So an hour away. He'd have been home by like 7, take him a shower, get there around 7:30, 7:45. So I get up, and since he's not answering my cell, I was like, you know what? Let me call from the landline. I was like, I don't know, maybe something happened. So I call from the house phone, million phone calls, not going through. Like at this point, I'm very, very scared. So I go and wake his mom up. And I'm like, hey, R is not home. And I'm really worried. I was like, with all that construction, I was like, he's not answering my phone. I've tried to call from the house, the landline. And so she's like, all right, well, let me try. So she calls from the house phone. He's not answering. She leaves voicemails. We wait. We sit up for probably almost an hour. So now it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. We still can't get a hold of him. So finally she calls from her cell phone. When she calls from her cell phone, a female picks up the phone. The mom asks, is R over there? She says, yes, but he's passed out. So she gets the address and hands me the address on a piece of paper because we didn't have all that stuff on our phones back then. So I put it in GPS in my car and I go to that address. When I get there, I do not see R. I see 2 women hanging out in a garage. At this point, I'm not even angry. I'm just like trying to figure out where my boyfriend is and is he okay? I mean, I honestly thought, did he go over here and was hanging out with his friends? And I don't know, not that he would have forgotten me, but like it felt like maybe he forgot me and he went to the party anyways. So I get out of my car and I walk in there and these were 2 sisters. I didn't know that, but when I got there, these were 2 sisters. Sister H and Sister A. So as I start walking closer, Sister H is the older sister and then Sister A is the younger sister. And as I'm walking up, the older sister kind of comes at me with kind of an attitude. And I was like, listen, I'm not here to start anything. I just want to know where my boyfriend is. So anyways, all of a sudden, the sister shows up, the younger one, Sister A, and she walks up. And I'm like, I have this feeling like I know her. I can't really peg where I know her or how I know her, but I know her. So she's talking to me and she's proceeded to tell me that R and her are together. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like I was literally at his mom's house, like in his bed sleeping. We've been together for months. So then the older sister, she kind of comes around and I said, listen, is R here? And she says, yes, I said, can you please go wake him up? So A goes and wakes R up. R realizes it's me and he's like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. So A and I are standing next to each other and I just looked at R and I'm like, listen, you can't play both people. Are you dating her now? I need to know because I don't like, I'm not one to be, it's one thing to find out, it's another thing to take you back. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to stay with her. Cool. So because at this point it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, I was like, I'm not going to go back to the house where my parents are. So we were there for temporary work. So anyways, that's a whole nother story. But we were there for temporary work. So we all, I lived with my parents while we were there working. So anyways, I didn't want to go back to the house and wake my parents up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I just went back to his parents' house because his mother knew where I was. And again, her and I were friends. So I go into the house and I tell her like, he's decided to stay over there. Apparently we're broken up. That's his new girlfriend. And I just wanted to stay the night because I was like, I didn't really want to tell my parents like what had happened. And I was embarrassed and I didn't want to wake them up. So I get back to his house. His mom goes back to bed. And because I'm in his room by myself, I start digging around and everything. And I go back to that drawer with the picture with his deceased girlfriend. And when I saw the picture, I was like, I knew I recognized her. I knew I did. That girl in the picture was his dead girlfriend. That was her. He had a picture of her in his room, but that was the girl he was with at the house. And her name, that was the name, that was his cousin on the phone. So before I went to sleep, R's brother, he came and asked to talk to me for a second. And he proceeded to tell me that every time I went to the bathroom, R would go to his bedroom and call A on the phone and talk to her. And he would use the bathroom. So these two boys had their own bathrooms in their bedrooms. And he would go and use the bathroom in his younger brother's room. But he would actually be on the phone with A while I was in the bathroom in his room. So finding that out, all of a sudden, all the puzzle pieces started coming together. Now, I know what y'all are thinking. You're probably like, okay, this has to be the end of the story. This is not the end of the story. This story goes until like 10 plus years of marriage, who I'm married to, my husband, Richard. This story just keeps going. This is a saga of events that happened in my life, and it's wild. So the next morning I get up and I go home to the rental house that we were in. I don't tell my parents anything. We don't speak about it. I think at one point they may have asked me how last night was. Did we have a good time? And I just said, yeah, we had a great time. Later on that day, his mother actually called me and apologized for her son's behavior and proceeded to tell me that she was kicking him out of her house. I thought she was joking, but she was not. She literally kicked through all of his shit on the front porch and kicked him out of the house and told him to have A drive him to the house and pick all his shit up. And, yeah, and that's what happened. Then after that, she invited me over for dinner and I hung out with their family and ate dinner with them while he went on and hung out with his new girlfriend. Then, a few days, maybe a week later, I'm getting phone calls from both of them. And then now there's a domestic dispute. So first I want to answer a few questions. I've had a few people say, you had to have known something. Well, at 19 years old, you really haven't been through life. And I was coming from a very, very small country town, and I really hadn't been exposed to real life. I mean, I had just graduated high school, and then I moved away, and then I get exposed to more real life situations with people who don't know me, and I don't really know them. So yes, looking back as a 40-year-old woman, there were a million red flags. But at 19 years old, I had never been exposed to red flags, so I didn't even know what a red flag looked like. Okay, so let's get into this. I get a phone call from the now girlfriend, and she's calling to tell me that her and my ex got into a domestic dispute and she called the cops on him. And boy, let me tell you, I fucking loved every second of that. Because I didn't have any closure, I felt like, I was just broken up with and tossed, on the back burner, and I had no closure to the whole entire situation that happened to me. This was the closure I needed. So yes, the girl from the picture, the cousin on the phone, the girl in the garage, she's calling me. And funny enough, she gets my number from my ex. She calls to tell me that she wanted to borrow some gas money. What? I was like, I'm not giving you any gas money. Like, that's your boyfriend, that's your problem. She then asked if I would go pick her up and take her to the jail to pick him up and then drive them back to her house. The audacity. I said, no, I'm not giving you gas money and I'm not picking you up. I can pick him up and take him to you, or he can stay in jail. I don't care. So, I go pick him up, and I lived in the town that he was in the jail. So, had I picked her up previously or prior to, it would have been an hour that way, and then an hour back to pick him up, and then now. So, it would have been some 3 hours. Ain't gonna do it. Ain't gonna do it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would you go pick him up at jail? Again, I'm 19, right? And I would pick him up at jail because I wanted closure. This was my moment to actually talk to him to find out, what the fuck. So I get there. He comes walking.
Yo, she said, I was 19. I just wanted closure. That should have been enough. I get it. She was 19. She was young and dumb. But you find out this man is cheating with another woman over this other woman's house, lied to you and told you that was his dead girlfriend, been with her this whole time. They get into a domestic situation, and now you have to pick him up from jail, and you agreed to it. I want closure. I just want him to tell me to my face that it's over and why he chose her over me. Why'd you choose her over me? Y'all be sitting in that car arguing and fussing the whole time. I wouldn't even. The audacity of him to even want her to come pick him up. I wouldn't even want to take that ride. I'm like, man, she about to be on some bullshit for however long. I got to ride.
Comes walking down the stairs looking like shit. He just looks. And as soon as he got in the car, I said something slick like, man, looks like your new relationship's treating you really well. He didn't think it was very funny. I did, though. So I'd take him all the way back, and before it was time to turn into like the road where that they lived, I pulled into a grocery store parking lot, put it in park, and I said, we need to talk because I've had no closure. It's been a few weeks. I've had zero closure. You literally broke up with me while you were drunk at her house. I mean, all of this sucks for me. I need closure. So he ended up telling me that because I was going back, since my work was temporary and I was going back to the state where I was born and raised in, he just didn't see a future relationship with me. And, you know, she would have been easier to date, which I understand that. But at 19 years old, I was like, I'll move. I'll come over here with you, or you can move with me. We're so in love. We were not. But at 19, you think you love everybody. So anyways, he proceeded to tell me that he apologized profusely. I accepted his apology. We did not get back together. We did make out in the parking lot at the grocery store, and I felt like, I got mine. And by that, I just mean like, you're with her and he cheated on you with me kind of thing. It is very petty. But at the time, that's the kind of type of closure I needed. And it is what it is. So I go to drop him off at the house that he was apparently living in with her now. And I remember when I pulled up into the house, I was like, this is what you broke up with me for? Okay. So I had a lot of closure. Like, I don't believe you have to have a shit ton of money, but I believe you need to be clean and put together and organized and tidy. And, you know, you can do that on all types of financial levels. So that's not what she came out, not like that. Literally, I'm just not even going to say what I thought. But anyways, he gets out of the car. He's talking to me. While he's talking to me, he's got his like head in my window. And she comes out and she's like, what are you doing? Why are you hanging out? And I'm like, dude, take that. Just go. Like, y'all deserve each other. So it wasn't but a few months or weeks. And then we left and we went back to our house after the seasonal job was done. I get home. When I get back to Texas, I am getting phone calls from him and her. Now, these phone calls are when they're out partying, so they're drunk. And he's calling me and he's like, I love you, I miss you. And then she's in the background going, are you talking to Katie? Get off the phone with her. And then all of a sudden he's like, no, babe, I love you. And then she picks up the phone and she's like, Katie, stop talking to my boyfriend. And I'm like, I'm not calling me. Y'all are calling me. Now, mind you, I could have blocked the number. I could have not answered the number. But who does that at 19? Nobody. We love the drama because we're 19 and he cheated on me and my heart was broken and I was living for this. So anyways, that continued for several months. Like when they went out, I would get phone calls from both of them. It continued for several months. Then they get married. So they get married. Now, mind you, at this point, I believe I'm married to my husband. I mean, there was about 3 months before I was with my husband. When I got back to Texas, there was about 3 months where I was single, and then I started dating my husband. Now, I'll have a whole nother story maybe one day with me and my husband, but my husband and I have known each other for a long time. So when it sounds like, wow, you just literally went from boyfriend to dating your husband, it's not like that. But anyways, they end up getting married. I don't know what year, it doesn't matter, not to me anymore, but they end up getting married. She ends up getting pregnant. I believe she has 2 girls, and I'm still in contact with his mom. His mom and I are still really good friends, and she's always like a second mom to me. She helped me through a lot of stuff during that time, but she was definitely Team Katie. So anyways, my husband and I, we get married, we move, we have a baby, they get married, they have babies. Her and I actually ended up being on, I think it was Myspace or Facebook. I can't remember, but I think it was Myspace. We were on Myspace chat together, his now wife and myself. And we were both bored housewives. If I'm being honest, that's what we were. So we would chat, and our chats were she was very passive aggressive and braggy. They were doing well financially. We were not. So she would always be telling me, oh, he bought me this and showed me pictures and look at this and look at that. And I always felt, like, damn, like, she's got it made. That's crazy. And we're living in this shitty rental house, and they're living in this awesome house. And, so it was a very toxic, and I don't even want to say friendship, but it was very toxic. We were bored housewives, 100%. But anyways, it's the old saying, the evil you know is better than the evil you don't know. So at that time I was battling postpartum depression. We were in a town that we didn't know. And so I didn't really have any friends. And so while that seemed very toxic and crazy, I probably wasn't in a good headspace, in general, but I kind of sort of knew her because, well, we had just, my boyfriend broke up with me for her, and then we went through all this shit, so whatever. And by all that, I mean, like, we were chatting on Myspace chat room. So I know from the video 3, there's probably gonna be some people going, what? You were chatting to her? Okay. But anyways, that wraps that up. So, like I said, I'm not sure of timelines, but shit started getting really freaking weird. Richard and I, we were finally scaling in life and finally moving into better houses and a little bit better homes. Now, these were all rental houses and everything, but we were slowly scaling. So, we're doing all that, and all of a sudden, I get a MySpace message from her. She begins to tell me that her now husband, my ex, was doing drugs, and he left her for the boss's daughter. Now, she's telling me juicy details, like me and her are like this, but I kind of think at this point I feel bad because I'm like, man, they have some kids together. Like, this dude clearly broke up with me for her. And at this point I was no longer being like, ha ha. I actually felt bad because she's married, she has children, and I couldn't imagine like my husband leaving me for like his boss's daughter or anybody. So she tells me that he hadn't been back home and her lights were being cut off, and she sends me a picture of them eating dinner in the dark, and I mean, just, it's crazy. So I mean, I think I sent her some money through PayPal because I felt bad. Like, I really kept thinking, like, she has children, they need lights, they need food. So that rocks on. I think at some point her and I kind of get into a little spat. I delete the MySpace chat thing because it was just becoming too much for me. I was in a good space for me and my marriage and my family, and I was like, I got to get rid of this. So I get rid of it. Well, then months later, I get a Facebook friend request, and it's her. Again, I'm like, well, maybe she's grown up, maybe life's gotten better, so I accept it. Curiosity kills the cat. So at this point, again, I couldn't tell you the years and actual timestamps, but at this point, my husband and I had just bought our very first house. Now, to give you a kind of sort of a timestamp, we were married for 10 years when we bought our very first home. When we bought our very first home, that's when things started getting a little crazier, and with the requests from my ex's, I guess now ex-wife. So at one point, she Facebook messages me to tell me that, because she's now with a new man, and I think she had another child or something along those lines. I don't know. But she had a new guy, and he didn't make a lot of money, and she needed to get her daughter enrolled in school. And so she asked me, because she didn't have a vehicle to go to a library. She didn't have a printer to print off the enrollment form. She didn't have a fax machine. Like, she didn't have any of these things. So she asked me if I would print off this form and fill it out for her and then fax it back to the school. I know. It's crazy. So I printed off and I asked her the questions through Messenger, like, name, address, all this stuff. I mean, even in that information was like your yearly income. So I get it all filled out. I drive to the dealership where my husband works, and my husband faxes it to the school so she can get her daughter enrolled in school. So that goes on. Then there was a little bit of some toxic, fake friendship, whatever conversations. I end up deleting her all over again. I was like, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole with you. Like, I'm doing good in life. Like, I helped you, kind of, leave me alone. Then, so my husband and I are from Texas. When that took place, we were living in Georgia at the time. Then we moved to Tennessee. When we moved to Tennessee, I did not know this, but I had been talking to my ex's mother, and she was telling me that A lived in Tennessee, and I was like, what? And she ended up living like 20 minutes from us. So then she starts messaging me. This is A, not the mother. She starts messaging me on Facebook again and proceeds to tell me that she was looking for a vehicle and wondered if my husband could help her and la la la. She ends up going to the dealership. I let my husband know, and he puts another sales manager in front of her, and he just says, I'm not here, and goes to back office or something. But she ends up talking to our sales manager, who's a really good friend of ours, and tries to buy a vehicle, like wanted to know if we could meet up and hang out. No ma'am. Now I haven't heard from her in months. I believe she's remarried. Since she was no longer with my ex, she, I think, married another guy, divorced him, and then married another guy. So I don't know what her marital status is. The only reason why I know any bit of that is because, again, like I said, I'm still friends with his mother. His mother and I have been friends before him and I even dated, so we're still very good friends. Actually, when we lived in Tennessee, his mother and his daughter actually came and stayed the night with me. And it was a great fun. His stepfather has stayed the night with my husband and I as a pit stop. And it's a lot of fun. Like, I love her to death. And now this has been years ago, but she had a dog show she went to. She's the one who introduced me to a Doberman. And I went to a dog show, and my husband and I hung out with her and her husband. We went and had dinner and hung out in their RV and played with her Doberman and went to the dog show, and it was just a lot of fun. So when I tell you, sometimes life has these crazy things that happen to you, but the silver lining is I have a forever friend out of his mother. And yeah, I feel like I won. So anyways, that wraps up the story time. I know, it's crazy.
What to do, everyday people, man? It's your boy PJ. What to do, everybody? On YouTube, man. We live on YouTube. We live on Facebook. We live on Twitch, man. If you don't follow me on Twitch, man, make sure you follow me on Twitch. We live every day, or at least almost every day. Wait, shout out to my everyday people who rock with me every day. So I didn't go live last night, but here he is. All right, so man, I'm gonna tell you what, man. Listen, it's good that she had a mother or a friend. She made a friend out of the mother of the guy she used to date. A lot of times that could be in that time. A lot of times that gets in the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna lie, man. I thought, the relationship I built with some people's family that of my exes and stuff. I thought, you build a nice relationship. But my thing is, now let they ass go, because they always a lot of times they gonna go with them. You know what I'm saying? So, when things ain't going right, that's who they gonna choose. So cut their ass off too. You know what I'm saying? Fuck all that family shit. Like, man, I thought it'd be better. I thought it would be better, but it's not. You know, I thought you could be like adults about it, but even the adults be acting like children. So fuck them. You know what I'm saying? Fuck everybody. Like I'm cutting off everybody all 2026. Hey, I would tell y'all more, but I don't want to because well I might as well say some shit. Yeah, my younger kids, my older kids, me and her family, we didn't always get along, but then, now the grandpa passed and it's just like, you know, now y'all crutch is gone. Now what y'all got? Y'all can't depend on nobody but me. Y'all can't depend on me. I mean, you know, once your crutch out the way, because they family always be in the middle of shit. So you just gotta, like, sometimes when you get close to the family and you break up, that shit sometimes it get in the way. It get in the way, and I don't like that. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. I really don't have many exes that I'm like really cool with their family. You know what I mean? And that's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing either, but I know I never been a bad person. I never disrespected somebody's mama or somebody's, you know what I'm saying, grandparents or something like that. But so it's good that she could at least keep, have a relationship with the woman, even though it didn't work out with her son. But obviously, that whole relationship with the girlfriend and all that, that was weird too, But that girl was more lonely, and then she wanted to trauma bond with him. That was some whole trauma bond and stuff. She wanted to keep a close eye because low key, he wanted to be with her. The guy actually wanted to be with her, but he know he couldn't get her back because he gave that woman the life that he should have been giving her. And she felt some type of way when he was giving her the life that she wanted. But she needs to be thankful that that happened, because then look at the end of the story. She's still happily married. See, sometimes we be looking at other people's lives and be like, damn, why they doing so good? Quit focusing on other people. Quit focusing on other people. Worry about your damn self. God ain't gonna bless you if you worrying about why somebody else doing what they doing. God gonna bless you for what you doing. He ain't gonna bless you because you over here sitting over thinking, damn, why she got all that? Why she get the new cologne? Why she get the new house? Why she got the good kids? Why she got this? But then you come to find out, kid got cancer. The other kid murdered somebody as a teenager. Now they gotta watch the kid go to prison. One of the kids burnt down the house. Other kid pregnant at 15. Stuff like that. Stop worrying about other people's lives because why it looks good. That shit be crazy. I could tell you another story about somebody who I used to see when I was growing up. It wasn't like I was worried about them doing good in life or anything, but I just used to think like, damn, they family doing good in life. They family doing good in life. Growing up, all this, and now I look back at their family now. One dead, one in jail for life, one in and out of jail. Another one, I think strung out, and one of them just be on some bullshit. Cause I be seeing him and he just be out here lying to people, talking about I do this, I do that, and don't do shit. So just stop worrying about people. Cause you know what? I used to see like if you my age, back in 97, 96, 97, when those kids they used to go, their parents used to take them to the shoe store and they used to come to school with the brand new Jordans on because they was coming to school late because they was standing in line waiting on the new Jordans. Them kids. Now I look at them now and I be like, You could, you can't do nothing with them Jordans now with your goof ass, cause your life is messed up. So stop worrying about what other people got, because as she was worrying about seeing that they had this. He was giving her that, and she was just sitting there bragging, telling, oh, he bought me this, he bought me that. Then look what happened. Tables turned. So all you gotta do is sit back and play your part. Stop worrying about other people's life. That was her problem, and I'm glad she got over that. So shout out to Katie for that terrible story.